Okay, according to the big light, we are live. It's not really a light, but kind of like TV. When a red light goes on a camera, you're live. A little thing lights up in my corner going, you're live. So apparently I am live. So hello to the people who've come in early. Dr. Obama, CrossFitter, Mr. 09, Luke, Musical Aviator, Justin, Fox of Fate. Good to see you all. Oh, my wordy. What a couple of days, eh? What a couple of days we've had. Not great days, but days nevertheless. So, yes. I don't know. Okay. Before I said like no spoilers, it's definitely late enough to do Avengers Endgame discussion now. Anyone who hasn't seen it now really doesn't want to see it. Hey, David. I don't know. Game of Thrones, the finale was only on last night, so maybe just don't talk about the final thing. Talk about the second last episode. The second last episode really pissed me off. Albie, a little less full. I actually didn't have that many drinks on Saturday night because it was too depressing, basically. And it's like, you don't want to get really drunk when things are depressing. That's where you end up having a bad time. So I did have 4 cocktails. So I mean, I was definitely drunk, but yeah, not shit-faced at all. Are we talking about John Howard's cricketing abilities or lack thereof? What a goose he looks like bowling, yeah. But very few things will ever beat when Hawkeye copped a cricket ball right in the face and it smashed his glasses. That is a really spectacular thing for a sitting prime minister to do, to take that sort of risk and get smacked in the face. Justin, they want to make Abbott US ambassador. Who's they? I mean, Abbott would be very popular with the Trump administration, no question about it. I thought Abbott would just like walk into a job with Sky News or something. Luke, your net's dropping in and out. Well, that sucks, buddy. You got to help us with Abbott's ambassador. I don't think who ambassador is makes any difference. Oh, does that mean sacking Joe Hockey? That's funny. He got the cushy job of US ambassador, didn't he? It's like sacking Joe Hockey and going to, yeah, Albie, I think you might be on to anything, something that talk like that means the Liberal Party actually want Abbott in another country. It's just really, really getting out there, just like away from us. Yeah, I don't want to be too cynical, but I think it's quite reasonable to say the overwhelming majority of the parliamentary party are as happy to see Abbott gone as anybody. I mean, he was a fucking millstone around their neck and he was just a fucking house wrecker. So I think they're as glad as anyone to see him going, hey, Mystery 9. David, do you think if we made Abbott ambassador to Venus, you might finally understand what a runaway greenhouse effect is? Yes, I think it's, yes. Abbott's so strongly in the willfully obtuse camp that I don't know that there's any point in saying anything to him. I mean, fuck me, you see results like this that is just, it just means a bad result for anyone who isn't a rich, straight, white guy. As like, the more you deviate from that, the worse the next couple of years are going to be for you. And really, the next couple of years, for the foreseeable future, really. You don't want to be poor, sick, old, or young, or not white, or not straight, because all those people are fucked. And we're going to friggin' see, on top of just the policy fuck-ups this government's going to do, this result is going to full-on embolden pieces of shit. We're going to see a really sharp spike in hate crimes, attacks on women, gays, anyone non-white and Christian, because they think their views are endorsed now. Oh, quick set. That's the idea of Queensland shit. We should get rid of it. I mean, look, yes, the Queensland vote went overwhelmingly Conservative, but as I said many times in the lead up to the election, for the government to be returned, a whole bunch of things had to go their way. They had to do better than expected in Queensland. They had to do better expected in New South Wales, better than expected in Victoria, better than expected in Western Australia. And what the fuck? That is exactly what happened. Like, their vote went over the top in Queensland, but they did do better than expected in New South Wales, better than expected in Victoria, better than expected in Western Australia. I basically said half a dozen unlikely things all have to happen for them to win the election, and fuck me if that didn't happen. So yeah. It's just, yeah, I no longer know what to do with this program. Hey, Lukey's got a hangover. I'll try not to talk too loudly. And Tendai, I got my milkshakes ready. I do friggin' love this milkshake thing, if you haven't seen it, with the fash having milkshakes thrown on them, which I think is brilliant, because it's a non-violent protest and it humiliates them. It makes them look stupid and it gets them super upset, which is great. Philosopher, polls. Yeah, well, polls are clearly horseshit. I mean, look at the big ones the last couple of years. Trump presidency, Brexit, and this Australian election. Now, on the world stage, this Australian election doesn't count for shit, but while you're sitting here, it's pretty important. Yes, Catherine, as you say, if you're not a straight, white, middle-aged, able-bodied, quite well-off male, you are screwed. Yeah, but okay, yeah. Look, everyone with the beauty of hindsight is saying polls useless. So, like, every take I'm seeing on the media about this is what Labor did wrong. Look, fuck you. Unless you said it, all these media types, unless you said that before the election, fuck off. Anyone can look at something after it happened and goes, "Oh, my superior intellect is now going to declare why that happened." No. Fucking say it before the event, or fuck off, quite honestly, because your insights aren't worth shit. Here's publication. Oh, yeah, yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. McDonald's saying they wouldn't sell milkshakes. Yes, the cops asked them not to. And then whoever runs, I think it's Burger King's social media account, because Farage or someone was in Scotland or something, and whoever runs their social media account that says, "Hey everyone, we're selling milkshakes." It's like, holy fuck. Boy named Gilrod. Oh, for fuck's sake. Kind of expected trolls, was just like, Catherine, you want another loaded peppermint liquor milkshake because they were great? I said, no. Well, I tell you, which ones are the ones I did make? Which one did I really like? Bum's Rush I did for Howard was okay. I think it was the Don't Give Up the Ship that was really quite good. It was Lilith Blanc. Oh, did I even make that? I don't even remember what. I know I started with a Kamikaze, and I know I made a Bum's Rush. I think I made a Never-Ending Story. Oh, it was a Never-Ending Story I think I liked. It's rum, creme de cacao, lime, and absinthe. I'm thinking if I make a cocktail, you have to make fun of myself. Like as I said on Saturday night, I'd found a classic cocktail recipe called a Liberal, and it was quite. It had a bitter element, and I, like pretty much everyone, thought the Liberals were going to lose and they would be bitter, so I was going to make it a bitter Liberal, and of course they didn't lose, and I didn't make it. So I might do a small L bitter Liberal, which is me. Well, I'm not really bitter. It's just like, well, fuck, that's a fucking thing that happened. The other one I might make that I wanted to try was the double standard sour, like a whiskey sour, but with vodka in it as well. There you go. Who should be Labour leader? Look, apparently only 2 people are putting their hands up, Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen. So out of them, I'd say Albanese. I don't know what he's going to be like. He's like an old school lefty. He's got the common man judge. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing an old school lefty. I mean, Tanya Plibersek ruled herself out. I would have backed her over the others. I know everyone sort of says, "Oh, Penny Wong should be leader." Well, 2 hurdles to that. One is she's in the Senate. She'd have to move to the lower house. I'm almost sure that's a rule. The second, I mean, I've said repeatedly, Penny Wong's probably my favourite politician in Australia, just because she takes no fucking shit. But after the bullshit hate that was directed at Julia Gillard solely for being female, now there are plenty of reasons to be less than happy with decisions and policies of Gillard that aren't about her being a woman, but anyone who says there wasn't waves of hate solely because she was a woman is full of shit. And after the waves of hate she got just for being a woman, the idea of Penny Wong, who is also a woman person, also of Asian descent, and also a lesbian, neither she nor her family deserve the unbelievable hate that would be directed at them. Well, Dr. Obama, that's devious. You want Chris Bowen to go in as opposition leader so he can be a punching bag for a while, and then have Albo sneak in just before the election. Nice. Good spirit. Good morning to you. Good evening from my part of the world. Ooh, Catherine's Peppermint Crisp Loaded Milkshake. For those who want a recipe, is ice cream, either vanilla or mint milk, either vanilla or mint chocolate, then milk, Bailey's, chocolate mint, whipped cream, chocolate ice cream, and top it with Aero mint chocolate wafer sticks. That is super decadent, Catherine. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, that sounds pretty. I've had there's a few things I have that go good in milkshakes. There's the creme de cacao, which is it's like a clear spirit, but it's got a chocolate flavor in it. And I don't actually have, there's one that's almost like eggnog, and I don't actually have any of that at the moment. Loogie, thoughts on the last episode of Game of Thrones? It was better than the second last episode of Game of Thrones. Megalee, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, it was really funny. The first couple of episodes of this final season, I was fine with. I was quite happy with. And I thought a lot of the complaints were really fucking stupid, particularly with how aggressively people were putting them. And then there was that second last episode, and that's where I just went, no, fuck off. That is just stupid. that is just intelligence insultingly stupid. But then it only took a couple of days of people being hysterical, shrieking morons and, oh, a petition to have them remake the final season with better writers. Fuck off. Fuck off. That was embarrassing. The way people ended up going on was fucking embarrassing. So music video, people on YouTube rubbishing the last episode, but they actually talk more about episode 5 than 6. That makes sense because people are stupid. I've seen some very good critiques of the last episode. And again, they pointed out stuff. I'm really hard pressed to believe that. I'm really hard pressed to believe that. And they make some good points. But seriously, Danny, actually, the good guys achieve total victory. Like Danny swoops in on the dragon, destroys the Iron Fleet, destroys all the fucking ballistas that were threatening her dragon. They surrender. It's like complete and utter crushing defeat. She has everything. There is no resistance. She has everything she's always wanted. And then, for no particular reason, destroys the city and murders tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of innocents. It's like absolutely stupid beyond words. Like, I just felt that was intelligence insulting. And see, the flip, how it's rumored to be happening for the last couple of seasons where they were ahead of the books. They're told that George Martin basically told them the major plot points. He said, oh, this should happen. And there's big things like the Night King kills a dragon and then reanimates it. So he's got an undead dragon. And then this character does this reaches here and this goes here. So theoretically, although we won't know this for sure for fucking years, theoretically, George Martin told them Danny goes nutso and destroys the city. And if that's the way, if and when he eventually publishes the last 2 books, ignore me. I'm being gross and using a spoon handle to scratch my back. I don't want my back so itchy. But anyway, yeah, it's a big if. But if he goes that way when he writes the book and has Danny destroy the city, I feel quite confident that will be character development that happens over 2 very long books, not just at the last minute. Oh, I'm paranoid about everyone and I hate everything. And even though I have complete and utter victory here, and the biggest and wealthiest city in Westeros is now mine with no resistance, I'm going to destroy. It is the equivalent of just throwing away billions of dollars for no reason. And even setting aside the wholesale murder of tens of thousands of innocents. It was just fucking stupid. And why the Northmen suddenly turned into criminals murdering women and children, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the horse dudes, yeah, and the Unsullied, I could absolutely see them, after their queen starts torching the fucking place, I could absolutely see them, led by Grey Worm, absolutely mercilessly killing all the soldiers, not the civilians, but the soldiers. But it's just like, it was just out of the blue, and it was stupid and insulting. Tyrannical, oh, Danny was your favorite. But one of my favorite jokes to come, and for all the shortcomings of the series, my God, there were some good jokes and memes came out of it. One of my favorites was all the people in the last 4 years who named their baby Danny or Daenerys or Khaleesi going, ugh. I named my child after a homicidal mass murderer. Ugh. So that was possible. There were a lot of very good jokes that came out of it. But yeah, that second last episode was fucked. And just their insistence on having these 1,000,000 to 1 long shots of incredibly unlikely things happening, like Jaime Lannister's trying to sneak into the city to get Cersei out, and then by sheer 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance runs into bloody fish boy, not fish boy, boat boy. I've blanked on his name, the one from the Iron Islands, and they just 1,000,000 to 1 chance end up in that tiny strip of beach at the same time. Like, okay, that's a bit desperate to have a plot point. Trenical, same about kids named Alexander. Do you mean after Alexander the Great? Yeah, that's a stretch. Euron, that's it. Greyjoy. I couldn't remember the name. The Greyjoys. Yeah, I mean, oh no, I'll say another thing about these guys who've been running the show for a couple of seasons. They're really shit at giving you an impression of how much time has passed. Like, there are all these cuts between scenes, and sometimes days had passed scene to scene, and sometimes weeks, and there was never a sense of, was that 5 minutes or 5 weeks? I thought they were particularly bad at conveying any sense of the passage of time. Safa, you want to raise a glass to Bob Hawke? You're a bit late. Done a couple live streams since. No, actually, only one, because his death was announced just before my Thursday night live stream. That's right. It's all anyone was talking about on Thursday night. Oh yeah, Justin, that was a funny. Like, before the election, I did actually mention that Sportsbet had decided to pay out on the Labor bets before the election, because they were so sure that that was what's going to happen. And they lost all that money. That was hilarious. Kevin, ahoy there, matey, and happy birthday, Mr. Logan, by the way. Look, what am I drinking? Lemonade. I might do my thing and make a drink for the second half. Got to decide, will I make a bitter liberal, and this is a small L liberal, like the bitter liberal is me. That's rye, vermouth, Fernet Branca, and bitters. Or a double standard sour, because everyone says I have double standards. And also I like the sound of that drink. So I might make that. Loogie, having some whiskey. Nice. Dr. Obama, the very small bright spots were predictably Anning getting the boot from Senate, because he was never there under his own steam, and Abbott losing his seat was spectacular, because that wasn't even close. Like, he got fucking smashed. That was great. But yes, of the 6 things I expected to celebrate or hoped to celebrate on Saturday night, I got 1. Ha! No, Justin, yeah, politics and me, not a good mix. I also wouldn't subject my family to that shit. Safa, do you think no one liked Bill Shorten because he was a sleazy politician backstabbing? I don't know. Look, although, like almost everyone, I was quite convinced the Liberals were going to lose on Saturday. I am glad that I was on record as saying repeatedly, well, they might. It's just very, very unlikely, but they might. And then, because I've been so sure of them losing, if they do win, Liberal supporters get to laugh at me. But also, I did repeatedly say I don't support Bill Shorten at all. I don't think he deserved to be Labor leader because he was so fucking central to the offing of Rudd and then the subsequent offing of Gillard, which was particularly cowardly. That was when I really went off him when he did that. That was particularly cowardly and shit. Yes, I said I didn't think he deserved to be Labor leader for that reason, and also that he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't leading. He wasn't being inspiring. And fuck him for that. And he just thought he could fall across the line. Everyone thought he could fall across the line. And he didn't. So I'm glad I read. Okay, want to do an election post-mortem on your channel? Yes, sure. What day are we talking about? We could do that. I mean, there is a reasonable amount to talk about with that. Yes, that was quite the palaver. I stayed on my live stream for 3 hours before. Keely, what spoilers are you worried about? I don't know if you got the sound muted. Because I'm sticking it to the second last. I'm trying to get people to, because the finale of Game of Thrones was only last night, so maybe don't talk about the very last episode. But I think honestly, if you haven't watched the second last episode, you're not really making much sense. Okay, Kev, we shall organize. Yes, I mean, I was going to do a live stream anyway on Thursday. So happy to do that on your channel. Same as I was saying, I've been stopping people from saying any spoilers about Avengers Endgame prior to today, but that's been out weeks now. If you really wanted to see it, you've seen it by now. Dave's photo, you paused the live stream. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, but yeah, the Game of Thrones was a weird ride. And I think the best deconstruction I heard of that, and I saw a couple of people do essentially the same thing, but from slightly different angles. It was the difference between being driven by character and being driven by plot. Safa, do you think you should boycott Australia for the next 3 years until the next election? Your call. I mean, you know, I'm me. I'm just continuing on with lots more. Mr. 09, you got TAFE in the morning. Comprende. I understand that. It's my alarm set for 6:15, but you know, I've got it all set. Finish at 10, and I'm go. Sit there and don't move. Live stream. It's frozen. Yes. Was it there's an old Simpsons joke with Mo on a webcam, and they thought it had frozen one time, but he says, no, it's just this palsy I have. This foxification, we need to make sure Queensland doesn't do this again. Well, it is surprising. Apparently, like everyone in Queensland said they voted Conservative because as the Adani mine, which is wild. It's just communication shit. And this is it. I'm going to be, see you later, Mr. 9. Look after yourself. I'm going to be genuine. It's kind of, I find it kind of funny. On occasion, I just bit my tongue. What the fuck is that about? On occasion, when people ask me something, and it's something that is way outside any expertise or even basic understanding I have, I'll just say, I don't know about that to have any solid opinion. People seem surprised, possibly even impressed, that I'm willing to just go, I don't know about that, so I'm not going to make a big pronouncement on it because I don't know. Seems kind of basic to me, but I get with the way that everyone fucking does this shit. I'm not surprised that someone actually willing to say, I don't know enough to comment on that is unusual. But yes. Dr. Obama, how angry? I did not see. How angry was I when I saw Dutton quote Paul Keating's 1993 Sweetest Victory speech? Dutton breathing angers me, quite honestly. And yeah, okay, stealing the line from Keating makes sense to a degree, because I don't think anyone thought Keating was going to win that election. I mean, I was hardcore Labour, I was cheering on Keating, but it was completely different. There was no way it was like this election. You did not get 6 senior ministers quit because they were so fucking sure that they were out the door. I mean, Hawke did, because him and Keating had a falling out. That was possibly the funniest bit of the Keating win, because Hawke was with one of the TV channels, and he clearly expected Keating to lose, where he'd get to crow and say, see, they should have kept me as leader, and Keating won. And Hawke just did this stone-faced, no one's happier than me. He was not happy. Keelu, Trump will win again as well. I think that's, at this point, I think that is the most likely outcome. I have not seen anyone in opposition to Trump do anything nearly exciting, dynamic, and inspirational enough to turn anything around on Trump. Hey, we're a long way out. I mean, it's huge fucking coin toss. I mean, I think Bernie Sanders has a lot of failings, but I'm also getting to the, you know what, fuck it. I just kind of want to see Bernie Sanders run against him. I want to see what happens. I just want to see what happens, because that will answer a few questions. Yeah, that's, you know, I kind of think, policy-wise, I think Elizabeth Warren's doing the best job, but who knows? Dr. Bummer, is Florida always a bellwether state? I do not know. I know they tend to argue that there's only about half a dozen states that are even up for grabs. Okay, well, the Democrats will get behind one candidate. They'll throw themselves wholeheartedly behind whoever gets the nomination. Except if Bernie does get the nomination, some of the wealthy elites on the Democrat side might be so affronted they might use their powers to try and undermine him. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, I think at this point, Trump winning the next presidential election is by far the most likely outcome. There's just no sign. There is no sign that anyone is striking up any sort of passion against him. It's just not. David, that's a fun thought. Boris Johnson is PM in the UK. Yeah, he got a haircut though. Did you notice that? A couple of weeks ago, Boris Johnson got a haircut. He'd always had that wacky hair, and he got a haircut like he wants to be serious. I don't know. Yeah, look, with any luck, Clive Palmer will just die, or at least just fuck off. Dr. Rum, that's an interesting point. The states where the Democrats lost where they weren't expected to in 2012. Even Obama said that in the immediate aftermath. He's going like, you know what? I was on the fucking ground in those battleground states. I was on the ground in the town halls, meeting people on the street, and in a not so veiled sideswipe, he was basically pointing out Clinton didn't. Trump was out doing one of his noxious rallies in these states, and Clinton was in a $10,000 a head fundraising dinner because, you know, money was all important in the thing. But Jesus. Yeah, the actual lack of a ground game. And there was, and again, I'm very cautious about indulging in too much of this, because like I was saying about the media people this week saying, oh, this is what Labor did wrong. It's like, look, if you didn't say it before the election, fuck off. And I don't think I was particularly critical of Clinton, at least of her campaign before the election. But yeah, in retrospect, there was a real element of she was running for president because she deserved to be president. She wasn't giving people a reason to vote for her. It was like, vote for me because I deserve to have you vote for me, which was quite alienating as it turned out. Was that stuff? Ukraine might have snap elections. Ugh. Fuck, that's a fucking volatile part of the world too. Luigi, who are you recommending painkillers to, or is that just an observation for yourself? CBD oil is the best painkiller. I don't think it works for everyone. Like, nothing works for everyone. But I know there are lots of beneficial effects of various cannabinoids. And I know for some people, it's a very good painkiller, but for some people, not so much. And obviously, particularly some people, particularly people on chemo who can't eat and lose a lot of weight, it can be a good appetite stimulant. Fuck me, I think if when you've got a really bad disease, or when you're in a lot of pain and it's all fucked up, I think you should be able to do whatever fucking drugs you want, man, just to get through. Spend your last couple months off your fucking tree on hallucinogens, talking to beings on other planes. Jesus, the idea of denying people with terminal illnesses whatever drugs is just shit. Oh, Miss Hawks again, wasn't that weird? Yeah, where that Lou should be prosecuted for illegal advertising. There was so much weird shit with the Liberals targeting Chinese voters with lies, deception, racism, and homophobia. It's real fucking weird. Yes. You've seen polls in Crimea about, hey, should we split from Ukraine, become part of Russia? Yeah, that whole thing with Crimea, Ukraine, and Russia is super fucking volatile. But yes, the stuff, where are we getting? A Liberals monarchist. There are more monarchists in the Liberal Party than in the Labor Party, certainly. Dr. Obama Scummo would be a monarchist because he's a fuckwit. You know, ugh. God, it's weird how I'm not that down about the election. But, oh God, the next 3 years are going to be fucked. Safi, you're in Crimea. What are you doing in Crimea? That seems like a super unwise thing, honestly, unless you're the sort of person who loves trouble. Holy cow. Someone on the ground in Crimea. That's yeah, ooh. Dude. Oh God, David, that's another one. Okay, and we're jumping all over the place. War with Iran. The people like, what's that fucking walrus mustache guy, John Bolton? The people who say, yeah, they're pushing, you know, action against Iran. Oh, there'll be 2 hit strikes, the first strike and the last strike. It's like, I just want someone to really pin those pieces of shit down. Don't let them do their dumb as shit talking points. Don't let them tell their blatant, even just like, even pretending that you had a really good justification for a military action on Iran where there fucking isn't. But let's pretend there was. I just say to them, specify exactly what would happen. What specific gain do you believe the US would get, and how would that work out? It's because there is literally no upside to attacking Iran. It's like the worst fucking idea ever. Safa, you're visiting family. Ah, okay. You're being Russian and you can speak both languages. And I guess, is the language Ukrainian? This is my fucking English speaking monoculture ignorance. You have this impulse to say when someone says they're from a country, speak the language, and what is it named after the country? And it is, but I think Ukrainian's a language. Is there a Crimean language? And there's probably different dialects in Russian too. This is my ridiculous fucking ignorance. Luke, you're in Horsham. Was that your Crimea? Yes, Safa, yeah, I know that. That's what I mean about that area being volatile, because borders are very artificial, and what people feel they are culture. I mean, the other one that really springs to mind to me is when you get the contested territories between Turkey and Greece, you know, and Macedonia, and whoa, it's like, whoa, that's some people are fucking messed up. People will fucking go each other for nothing. So we use Donbass as in East Ukraine where the war is. For a second, I thought you were calling me a dumbass for not knowing the languages, which would be fair. Stella, yes, the title of the video is about all of it. The election, Game of Thrones, Avengers Endgame. No one's wanted to talk about Avengers Endgame. Who's a Marvel fan? Who's an Avengers fan? What did you think of Endgame? Were you satisfied with the resolution in Endgame? I mean, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I mean, I just, you know, I switch, when I watch Marvel movies, I switch the critical parts of my brain off, because they do. Yeah, I watched it twice too, Ist. I watched it in 3D IMAX. God, that was an experience. Once I adjusted to it, it was pretty good, because it actually has this, besides being fucking huge, the 3D thing had this illusion of they're sort of hanging in space. But I enjoyed it. I mean, the big thing for me with Endgame is I got all of my predictions. The things I said ahead. No, not so much predictions as I said they're fucking wussy if they don't do this. I said if the people who if the people who got killed in ways other than the snap, like, and by that I meant like Loki and Gamora, and Vision, if they don't stay dead, that's a wussy fucking cop out. And if they don't kill Iron Man and Captain America, that's a wussy fucking cop out. They didn't really kill Captain America, but they aged him out. So I got all my predictions. The ones who were dead outside of the snap stayed dead. And yes, Arthur, we are definitely. Anyone who hasn't seen Endgame now doesn't really want to see that much, in my opinion. Yeah. I said the ones who died outside of the snap should stay dead, and they did. And they should get rid of. They should off Iron Man and Captain America, and they did. Yes, and Loki gets his own TV show. Yes. Yeah, Days of Battle. I didn't get it at first. I thought Gamora had stayed. But no, when Iron Man snapped, when they all went back, she went, because the final thing with the Guardians in their ship was you had I was going to call him Skylord, Star-Lord, Quill, dejectedly trying to search for the existence of Gamora because he thought maybe that jumping timeline might have meant she still existed somewhere. But no, she actually went away with everyone else who went away. So I did not know who the teenage guy was at the end, but then I saw a picture online. That's the kid from Iron Man 3 who helped Tony Stark through his panic attacks. Which, honestly, Iron Man 3 was probably, for me, about the shittiest of all the Marvel movies, but it had some good stuff in it. And I did like Tony Stark having anxiety attacks because he'd been through too much and he wasn't coping. That was my favorite aspect of Iron Man 3. That was Iron Man 3, wasn't it? It wasn't Iron Man 2. It was Iron Man. No, Iron Man 2 was probably the worst, actually. Iron Man 3 was an improvement. The early Thor movies don't have a lot of fans. Yeah, The Dark World is a contender for the worst of them. But then they came back when they decided to let Chris Hemsworth be comedic, team him up with fucking Taika Waititi in Ragnarok. That was fucking brilliant. Ragnarok's definitely one of the top 5, maybe top 3. Tendo, you're a Winter Soldier fan. I don't mind Winter Soldier. I have to admit, I'm Black Panther and Ragnarok, I think, are my top 2. I'd have to think a bit after it, but I fucking loved Ragnarok. And just we're seeing things like Chris Hemsworth in the Ghostbusters reboot. He's fucking hilarious. And now he's going to be in a Men in Black movie. So, see, that's what I like, Loogie. Different opinion. I like that. You like the first 2 Thor movies and not the last one. And that's cool. This is what I think. What happened to Captain Marvel? I thought she was gone too because bad guy. Why am I forgetting names? When he zapped her. What happened to the movie? I quite like the Captain Marvel movie. Yeah, I quite like the Captain Marvel movies. It's not right at the top, but I quite like I find most Marvel movies really entertaining. Yeah, that's what Thanos hit her so hard I thought they might have killed her. But she was at Tony's funeral at the end. But I like the Captain Marvel movie. I like the Ant-Man movies. I think they're fun. They're dumb and they just contradict themselves repeatedly, but they're just good fun. What other? I want to rewatch Doctor Strange actually because I kind of enjoyed Doctor Strange, but I feel like I need to watch it again. And you know, all the Avengers movies were fairly entertaining, but I can't remember. Are there more Marvel movies coming? Yeah, well, the next Marvel movie is Spider-Man Far From Home, which the second trailer actually made look good. The first trailer, I was like, Spider-Man, that guy's good as Spider-Man, Tom Holland's good as Spider-Man. But the second trailer actually makes it look good. So I'm now interested in it. And I think Spider-Man Far From Home is meant to be a bridging thing from the last cycle of Marvel movies and the next cycle of Marvel movies. It'd be very interesting which way they choose to go and who they'll make central. Will it be a different version of the Avengers, or are they going to bring in some mutants Who knows? They've got like 50 years of stories they're going to leech off. They could do anything. The scroll could be interesting because I don't read that many Marvel or DC comics, and the only exposure I'd had to the scroll is they're bad, and because the scroll were in Captain Marvel, and they were a bit more multifaceted in Captain Marvel than being simply bad. Um, so I think the scroll could bring an interesting element into the continuation of the MCU. Who knows? Yeah, multiverse stuff, Safa. Oh God, I am quite the fan of Deadpool. The Deadpool movies are very silly, and I really like it. And probably I was surprised how much I like Deadpool 2. And I have to admit, I really cracked up when it's getting to the sort of climactic bit, and Juggernaut's there fighting, and the soundtrack is a choir singing a song that goes, "Oh shit, it's a Juggernaut! Oh shit balls! Holy shit balls!" And if you don't concentrate, you don't notice it, like because it's just the soundtrack. It's like a huge sort of choir thing, but they're actually just singing, "Oh shit balls! Oh holy shit balls! It's a fucking Juggernaut." I haven't seen Very Christmas Deadpool. I assume the fact that they haven't rushed to release it on home formats is they are actually going to wait for Christmas this year to release it for the home market. I did not see a very Deadpool Christmas. I did like the trailers for it with Fred Savage. I thought that was really funny. That just goes my stupid sense of humor. The Deadpool humor appeals to me. I haven't seen Detective Pikachu yet, and I'm not going to rush to. I will probably wait till like it's on home release and watch it. My kids did go and see it with their mum, and they said like, "Oh, the pacing was weird, but you know, it was entertaining," because they grew up with the when they were little. It was when Pokemon first came out. We had the first 2 seasons, like with the original 150 Pokemon. We had the first 2 seasons on VHS tape and watched them a million times. Oh, Safa, there is no connection between Fred Savage and Deadpool, but Fred Savage is that's a reference to one of my all-time favorite films, The Princess Bride, where the Princess Bride is told Fred Savage is a little kid and his grandpa, played by Peter Falk, is reading him a story when he's homesick. Lindsay's just come in. See if she'll come up and say hello. His grandpa's reading him a story, and then you get the story played out as a fantasy movie, The Princess Bride. And so it was a very weird throwback joke that Deadpool kidnapped Fred Savage and wanted him to read him the family-friendly version of Deadpool, a very Deadpool Christmas, like so with the violence and swearing cut out and sex. And so that was a completely weird callback to the movie The Princess Bride, which either came out in the 80s or early 90s. I don't know. I'm sure someone is probably already looking it up on Google. When did Princess Bride come out? But I freaking love that film, and also the screenwriter just wrote very good movie scripts. Princess Bride, 87, that long ago. That's why I was calling it a very Deadpool Christmas. It's Once Upon a Deadpool. Yes. Thanks, Mega Leach. 87. Holy crap. So what's that? 30 plus years old now. Minzy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hello to the people. Don't be rude. It's so rude. Come on. Come on. Up here. Come up here. Come on. You know, you love being the center of attention. You go, meow. Here she is. Come to say hello. Should you test your new taser on yourself? Well, you're breaking the law if you test it on anyone else. It probably works, dude. Every time I've seen video of someone testing a taser on themselves, it always works. So I suspect it worked. So my favorite 80s movies, Princess Bride and Withnell and I, both comedies, very different. And there's a non-comedy from the 80s I really like, a French-Canadian film called Jesus of Montreal. Really good film. My favorite 70s film is probably The Godfather. I just think that's one of the most beautifully structured films I've ever seen. My favorite, last 10 years would be like Mad Max Fury Road. What else? Yeah, possibly even Deadpool. Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, no, I mean, I like The Empire Strikes Back, and I agree that it is one of the better Star Wars films. That's the other thing. Actually, the new Star Wars films, I think, are fucking great. Force Awakens and Last Jedi are both fucking great films. Safa, I was actually super impressed with Iron Man. I did not expect it to be the first Iron Man movie. Didn't expect it to be anywhere near as good. Looky, I'm glad you love hanging out, man. Love you. Love you too, bro. Love you hanging out. Albie, Wolf of Wall Street's not bad. Yeah. Luke, when was Dumb and Dumber released? I don't know, but that is one of 2 films I saw when I was on acid. Don't do drugs, kid. It's not big or clever. So whenever there's talk about drugs and trying to tell kids don't do drugs, and it's like, why do people do drugs? Oh, because something's missing in their life. No, the number one reason most people do drugs is to have fun, and I fucking hate that people won't admit that. Like, yes, drugs can fuck your life up, particularly doing them to excess will fuck your life up. Justin, I saw The Big Short just recently. Man, that's a good film to make you angry. Man, if you want to get angry about how fucking corrupt crony capitalism and Wall Street is, The Big Short will make you fucking angry. That's a good question, Dr. Obama. What sequel do I hate the most? Ooh, who's got contenders? Who's got contenders for really shitty sequels? Oh, bit of thought. And if I don't just have to go with 2, Godfather 3 is an abomination. Like, Godfather is just brilliant, and Godfather 2 is very good, and Godfather 3 is an abomination. Oh, Albie, that is a good choice. Highlander 2. I attend any of the later Terminator films. Mega Leech, look, cool. A lot of people don't like Matrix 2 and 3. I actually like them. Clerks 2, it's a long time since I've seen it, Dr. Obama, but I thought Clerks 2 was okay. But again, this is personal taste. This is great. Safa, you dislike whatever. Oh, Catherine. Oh my God, I think you might have a winner. Speed 2 Cruise Control, which I haven't even seen. It's that bad. Oh my God, I think that might be a winner. That may actually be a winner. Okay, that's the bar. That's the challenge. That is the absolute challenge now. Come up with a sequel and I'll make it hard for you. It has to be 2, not any later really milking the franchise sequels, but 2. one with a gap between the original and the sequel. Fucking Speed 2. I think that could be the winner. Safa, I knew that's where you were going. Like, you don't have to like The Last Jedi. I just don't have any time for the people who pull that ridiculous racist and misogynist bullshit and pretend that's not what they're doing. One of my best friends really doesn't like The Last Jedi. Biori, we're talking about what's the worst sequel. And I think the competition at the moment is between Speed 2 and Highlander 2. Okay, Dr. Obama, American Psycho 2. Yeah, but American Psycho was shit. I mean, I kind of like Christian Bale, but I mean, the original was good, and there was a just terrible, terrible sequel. Honestly, I would vote for Speed 2 as being a bigger drop because I think the original Highlander was dumb as fuck, quite honestly. But yes, Highlander 2 was very bad. Oh, misfoxification. Remakes are a whole different thing. But yeah, one of the main reasons of Highlander 2 being shit is that as dumb as Highlander 1 was, it had rules. And Highlander 2 just abandoned all those rules. Yeah, see, Albie, Troll 2 doesn't count because the original Troll movie was shit. Okay, Safa, I'm intrigued. You say the end of Last Jedi breaks the galaxy's rules. Explain. Defend your position. Because I'm very interested in hearing what you have to say. Oh, Dave's Fatal. Die Hard 2 has fans, though. Die Hard 2 is not as good, not nearly as good as Die Hard 1, but it's no Speed 2. It's no Speed 2. Lukey, you had K2 Spice Addiction. Yeah, see, it isn't just drugs that are bad with addiction. Obviously, anything is. Alcohol does way more damage than most illicit drugs. But yes. Yeah, no, see, Dr. Obama, once you get down to 5, that's cheating. But of the original, the only ones I even liked in the original, and also I don't think it counts to say Star Trek 5 is a terrible sequel because the first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture, is fucking terrible. It's absolutely fucking terrible. Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan is great. It's one of the best. Star Trek 3 is okay. 4, I don't think I even remember what was that. The Journey Home, that was the one with the whales. I think it was 5, The Undiscovered Country, that I'm slightly against Comview. I quite like The Undiscovered Country with a Shakespeare quoting Klingons. And then the crossover one, Generations, is terrible. But the Next Generation one, First Contact, is good. I like that. Undiscovered was 6. Yeah, Albie, I think Star Trek with the whales was the worst. Honestly, though, the first, if you haven't watched it in a while, subject yourself to Star Trek the Motion Picture. Oh, fuck me. There are just these incredibly long, boring tracking shots of the Enterprise. Like, look how good our special effects are. And it takes a couple of fucking minutes. And it's like, oh my God. Dr. Obama, does Netflix have the Star Trek movies? I don't know. I think they have had at some point, but I don't know if they do at the moment. And hey, again, I'll be possibly against classic fans by saying I really quite like the reboot Star Trek movies. I really enjoy them. The first one and the one with Khan, and third one not as much. It probably got a bit too cheesy, but there were elements of the third one that I really like. Okay, Safa, sorry, my friend, I am going to shoot you down. I thought that might have been your argument because there is not a single argument against Star Wars The Last Jedi that I can't shoot down. Okay, you're saying when the Admiral hyperspaced her cruiser into the other big cruiser, why wouldn't you have just done that to the Death Star? A couple of reasons. First, because it's a suicide mission, and it's pretty goddamn hard to convince people to do suicide missions. Second, the Death Star was immeasurably larger than that ship, and even a big cruiser wouldn't have destroyed the Death Star like that. Third, the only reason she was in a position where she was close enough that the hyperspace launch hit that big cruiser and did all that damage is because they weren't targeting her. She was to be close enough to do that damage, she was in lethal range of their armaments, but they ignored her because they thought she was just trying to distract them from actually wiping out the rebellion. And it was too late. When they thought she's running, but then she turned straight at them, and their sensors obviously picked up that she was spinning up her hyperspace engines, and they freaked the fuck out. Like Huck's just freaking out and screaming, "Shoot it down!" And it was too late. That thing of ramming the ships as you go to hyperspeed and that sort of split into hyperspace was absolutely 100% consistent, and you can't use that as an argument to say it was wrong. Bam! Looky, Battlestar Galactica versus an Imperial Star Destroyer, who would win? I'm not even sure what they are scale-wise. Someone actually has to be nerdy enough and know the scale. Okay, Safa, yes, okay. 2 reasons you saying 5,000 years of expanded universe has never been done before. First, musical aviator jumped in, expanded universe doesn't exist. Second, that doesn't in any way negate anything I just said. You can't normally do it because if you came into range with a ship big enough to do damage, you're in lethal range of their armaments and they destroy you. The only reason was they were ignoring her because they thought she was trying to distract them, and then she was at the right range to actually do the light speed jump at the point where it would do that damage, and they realized too late what she was doing, and they didn't have time to shoot her down. So no one did it before because in 99% of scenarios, it wouldn't work. If you went in deliberately to do it, they'd just fucking shoot you down. So I'm sorry, but your objection is shot down, I'm afraid. I award myself the points. I am the sole judge. Wow, that's really obnoxious, isn't it? Oh, Charlie, you think Son of the... Okay. Son of the Mask may well be terrible, but The Mask was shit. The Mask was not a good... It's just Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey. Sorry, and this is, again, my completely subjective view that The Mask isn't good enough for the shittiness of the Son of the Mask, yeah. Okay, music, another good thing, 5,000 years of human history, no one ever flew a plane into a skyscraper before 9/11. That is actually true. But yes, Son of the Mask is a truly, again, I don't think I've seen that on TV, and I don't think I've sat through it. But yeah, see, in my incredibly subjective views, The Mask isn't good enough for that to count. I think we win with Speed 2 because man, I fucking love Speed. It's very cheesy and whatnot, and quite ridiculous conceptually. The bus that couldn't slow down. But I have a huge soft spot for the cheesiness of Speed. And yes, Speed 2 cruise control, so fucking bad. Yeah. And I think the only reason Highlander 2 and Son of the Mask don't beat it is that the original's not good enough. Yes, Charlie, I lost speed. I was going to do a video about that. Sorry, talking about the Drew. Oh, Safa, that's a good question. Does Rian Johnson have his trilogy intact? The last I heard is Rian Johnson actually said those people are too fucking toxic. That supposed fan base is too fucking toxic, and I don't want to have anything to do with them as long as but I don't know if that's true. Rian Johnson has it from Disney and the Lucasfilm people. They fucking love him. All the people go, Rian Johnson, you're such a fucking loser. Your movie was shit. Well, yeah, you know, it made like $1.3 billion. They love him. And when it was released into home and digital, it was the top selling movie on the home market for the year. Just those sad fucking losers. And the ones trumpeting the whole anti-Last Jedi thing, they were just racists and misogynists and cowards because they won't even fucking own it. Yeah, that fucking horseshit. But the idea that they're trying to say Rian Johnson's a failure because of their trolling when the movie made over 1.3 billion and the home release was the biggest selling home release of the year, is like, for fuck's sake. No, he gets to make whatever he wants with Disney. They fucking love him. Tendai, again, you're going to say the Turbo Power Ranger movies counts as worst sequel. The original source was shit. It has to be a good source. Oh, that's it, Safa. Yes, the Game of Showrunners, who everyone now hates, got a deal to make some Star Wars films. And that was very mysterious with it was going to be something different, and it could be anything. Musically over. Yes, I heard Clive Palmer trying to cover up his complete and utter abject failure for his ego run of saying, oh no, what I did was damage the ALP because people who were pissed off at the Liberals voted for me, and then I sent the preferences straight back to the Liberals instead of people who were pissed off at the Liberals voting for Labor. And conspiracy theorists are seeing some potential in that. I don't think that's the case. I just think it was Clive Palmer's ego and he failed completely. Fury, as Nash Bazard from What the Fair Movie pointed out, fatalism is good, actually. I don't know what that acronym is. I stuff out. Knights of the Old Republic would be fun for Star Wars. Dr. Obama, you DM me on Instagram. I have to admit, I'm not that good with Instagram. I literally just use Instagram to post pictures to Facebook. So if you sent me, and I see, I can't see it. Oh wait, is that it? I don't know. No, see, I'm not really that good on Instagram, in all seriousness. Ooh, people like the picture I pointed there. Yeah, all right. Safa Clive Palmer's nephew's in Bulgaria. Oh dear. I'll try and find it, Dr. Obama, but I'm doing it. Oh, this is the second half. Will I make? I have to decide. Will I make a bitter liberal or a double standard sour? What do the punters think? Liberal bitter, rye, vermouth, Fernet Branca, and bitters, or a double sour with vodka, scotch, lime, and syrup. You know what I'd like to see more movies like, and we were talking about the Marvel universe, but even just in any things, the animated done in the style of Into the Spider-Verse, that was fucking great. Into the Spider-Verse was so good. I love it. And seeing, I think they had to retire Robert Downey as Iron Man because he was getting too old. But they could do prequel stuff where he's still alive in that style because he'd just have to do the voice. I hope and I assume there will be many more animations done in the style of Into the Spider-Verse because I thought that was great and had the funniest post-credit sequence ever. Like, I was laughing so much at when they changed the animation style to be from that really shitty 60s or 70s Spider-Man and them pointing at each other. Oh my God, that was so funny. Maybe it's just me, but I really laughed at that. So what, no spoilers for Into the Spider-Verse? That must have been out for a year. And I just obliquely referred to the post-credit sequence, not the movie itself. But the movie's fucking great. But the post-credit sequence is the funniest I've seen. All right. One person voted, so Stella, you win. I'm going to make a double standard sour. I need to get my lime juice is in the next room. Right. So Mimsy, stay here and look. Don't follow me. Stay here and look after them. Good girl. No, coming back. No, I'm not letting you out. Come in. So difficult, Mimsy. All right, so. Oh, wait a sec. I got to rinse the glass. That's probably unhealthy. I don't know. I should be doing that. All right, so. Rinse the glass. Wait, what am I doing? That's not what I want to do. Okay, this ice. Big ice. Ooh. Big ice. Okay. No, big ice. Oh, the only question is, what flavor vodka should I put in? I've got salted caramel vodka, mint vodka, lime vodka, and a pink and a blue fruity rock candy vodka. So do we go pink, blue, or green, or caramel, I guess? So we've got, yeah, you're going to come back, Mimsy? Come back. Everyone wondered where you went. What are you doing? You stayed there nice until I came back, and then there you go, you're back. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, Tendai, you left Spider-Verse without seeing the credits scene. Honestly. What? Every time I go to a Marvel movie, I'm in the cinema, and then the movie's over, and a whole bunch of people leave when the credits start. And I'm going, what's wrong with you people? See, Stella, you're doing all the voting, so you get it all your way. I'll make it with my lime. Okay, so where is it? Make sure I get, that's my lime. What could that actually stick limes? And then I put too much green food coloring in it because I wanted it to be more green. Okay, so I'm going to use my butterscotch in here. All right, so we've got butterscotch. Tendai doing the shame bell. Shame. There's my cocktail shaker. It's just here. Yep, good job. Sorry, Mimsy, I know you hate noises. I didn't mean to make a big noise. All right. Should I get upset when I start shaking a cocktail? I don't know. Oh my God. Oh, if they had a baby, I understand leaving, Dr. Obama, but I don't really understand bringing a baby into a very loud 3-hour movie. Okay, so where is my measuring jigger? Wait, over here. Let me get it. All right, measuring jigger. Okay. Oh. Okay, live stream cocktail. We go scotch. I like that, Stella. You actually just stay to see who everyone is in the credits. That's nice. I have to admit, with those really big budget movies, particularly the big effects heavy movies, I'm absolutely fascinated by how many people it takes to make those movies. Like thousands of people contribute to those movies. It's absolutely amazing to me. Like in a good way. Like it's a thing that I marvel at. Oh, Jim, that would be a bad one. Bring a baby into John Wick 3, which I reckon I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't know if it is going to be any good, but I do like the John Wick films, a sort of a cheesy, guilty pleasure. Oh, that's a nice one, because window cleaners should wear Spider-Man suits. I did see a picture of people did it for a kids' hospital. They were all the window washers wore superhero costumes. There was a Spider-Man and a Batman and a Superman, and the kids really love it. Dave Spindle, that is a really good point. Watching credits helps remind you it isn't just the stars and the director who make a movie. An enormous amount of people make a movie. I was really funny. I was talking about The Princess Bride and how the writer is really good. His name's William Goldman, and he wrote this really good book that we used in my course when I was at uni for script writing. It's called Adventures in the Screen Trade. It's a very good book. But at one point, he gets really upset at that whole thing about the auteur theory of, the director makes the movie. Obviously, because he's not a director, he's a writer, and he feels like he's being sidelined by this worship of the directors. So it was kind of funny. He made very, very good points, but it was kind of funny. He's going, fuck directors, man. They're nothing without us writers. Dr. Obama, your racist friends like to laugh at ethnic names during credits. Okay. I don't think Lindsay likes me making a cocktail. I didn't like that noise. Oh, we have babies on planes now? How did we get to that? There's a baby and a plane threw up. I was embarrassed. I had that. She was pretty much a baby. She's probably only 2 years old. My daughter, and a flight to the US, and the first leg where we were going to Japan. I think she had a cold, and the altitude and pressure change made her head hurt, and her temperature went up, and she was crying a lot, and we were really embarrassed. But everyone on the plane was actually quite supportive, so they were good. Louis Schlanger, Irish for cheers. No, that's Slanche, which is spelt, I think, Slainte, but pronounced Slanche, I think. Anyone Irish who can correct me? So that's my drink. It's a fun orange color, isn't it? That's the Scotch. Ooh, that's good. That is pretty good. I mean, obviously the vodka doesn't really add any taste, just volume. Oh, geez, Slanche. Kampai. What other nationality? Yeah, sorry, the flight went from Melbourne to Japan to LA. Yeah, Stella, was the baby's not being able to equalize the pressure meters, and it turns out, yeah, our daughter had a cold or something, and the change in pressure caused her all sorts of trauma, and she suddenly had a fever. She couldn't stop crying. Oh, and here we had the fun thing, because she was so sick on the flight crew took us. There was a medical clinic at the airport, and they took us in there, and the doctor did an inspection. Now, silly me, I kind of thought medical staff working at an international airport in Japan would speak English, and they didn't. And so it's incredibly awkward, someone trying to give you instructions for how much medication to give your baby when they don't speak a word of English and you don't speak a word of Japanese. That was quite the adventure. Yes, Stella, I think that's how you spell the Gaelic way of saying cheers, slonche. Oh, Justin, you had lots of flights as a kid growing up overseas. I didn't go on a proper flight till my 20s, in fact. Hey, Aussie Gun Bunny, how you doing, mate? I've been doing okay. Less than impressed with the election results, but hopefully life goes on anyway. Your friends have a really dumb prank for the next chick flick that comes out. Going to get someone to sit on one of the toy babies that makes crying noises near the cinema balcony and then throw it off the balcony. Okay, yeah, that's a good way to upset people. Safa, you learned Japanese primary school. Both my offspring are very good at Japanese. They did it through high school. They did an intensive language course, and my daughter's doing linguistics at uni, and Japanese is the main language she's doing. So yeah, I could go to Japan with my offspring, and they could do all the communicating because they're actually really fluent in Japanese. Holy shit! How's it going, buddy? Almost lost your eyebrows burning a huge bonfire. Wow. Justin, you got to fly first class at 9 months. How many champagnes did you have? Yes, Safa, Australia is a long way from Europe because Mrs. Angry's English. So on the occasions we've gone back to visit her family, that's 24 hours of flying. It's so fucking stressful. You put a fucking accelerant on the fire. See, okay, this is a really interesting thing I learned that I didn't know. An incredibly effective way to light a bonfire, because I did this when I was at college. We built a really big bonfire, it's fucking huge, this huge conical bonfire, and I thought we'd have to put some accelerant on it, petrol or whatever. But yeah, the lecturer was going, he said, "No, don't worry." And his instruction, he used candles, like little stubs of candles, and lit them and sat them at various points inside the base of the bonfire. And that worked a treat, because the thing is, if the candles don't blow out, what we don't realize is just a flame generates a huge amount of heat. I've seen people have a candelabra too close to a ceiling. And by too close, I mean this far from a ceiling, and the heat from the candles burnt the ceiling paint. If I hadn't noticed it, that might have actually started a fire. But yeah, it was this huge bonfire, and all he did to light it was put some stubs of candles in the base and light them, and they just stay lit, and directly above the flame actually generates a huge amount of heat. And eventually, a candle flame, you think that's like a match flame. You think you're like, oh, I can't light a log with a match. But the candle stays lit for a long time and ends up generating a lot of heat. And lit this massive fucking bonfire with just some candles in it. It's wild. Sorry, Justin. No, I'm laughing. Your parents signed you up for Qantas frequent flyers when you were 3. You've done a lot of flying. Like I said, I don't think I flew till my 20s. Oh, Luke, you missed the masks. Every now and then I think of redoing the masks. I snuck one. People thought it was the angry mask, but it wasn't. I snuck one in a recent video when I was impersonating Fraser Anning. Yeah, still, that's what fire starters are great. But here's the thing, because fire starters are basically wax. Yeah, you don't even need. at fire starter, although fire starters are very effective. You need a candle. Just the candle stub is incredibly effective. So for where are the masks? I think they're in the shed. Like I think I know where they are. This is a really good drink. Yeah, maybe I should put a bit of thought into how to bring masks back. Mimsy is very orange, Safa. That is true. And she's displaying her orange side to us now. Her tummy's mainly white. The masks, the mask. Oh my gosh. See, now there are people who don't know the mask. For the first couple of years I was on YouTube, I didn't show my actual face. I wore masks. I had a default one that was the Mr. Angry mask, but I ended up inventing all these other characters. Like I just got different Halloween masks and just cheap plastic masks, and I cut the jaw out on them. So you saw my real mouth, but you didn't see the top half of my face. And it's incredible how effective that is. I learned that trick when I was at uni doing a theatre course. When we were studying a medieval form of mask theatre called Commedia dell'arte. It's amazing how lifelike a motionless mask is if you can see your mouth and thing. And so, yeah, I had a whole bunch of characters I would do. There was mainly Mr. Angry, but there's a supporting cast of well, there were 4 main ones, but then there was probably another dozen after that. Yeah, and old school viewers sometimes, I wish you'd bring the mask back. I dropped them initially because I knew from a couple of experiences they were actually quite alienating to a lot of people. Justin, I just decided to. I actually decided to get rid of the masks. I didn't. It was a while before I got rid of them completely or stopped using them. But I decided to show my real face when we were having a big event here in Melbourne. And my friend Corey, Mr. Safety, SMV Films, Dude Like Hella, Megan Kitty Guy, he was coming out here. And because I was going to have this event where we're meeting a bunch of people, I was going, well, I can't wear this stupid fucking mask all day. I have to come out to the public, so I'll do it in the video. So it was basically that we had this big event that made me decide to get rid of the mask. So, I kept them as characters for a while and then gradually stopped using them. Maybe I should bring them back. The one I always like, I think it was Mrs. Angry's favorite. The blogging bot from the future. It's this plain silver mask, and unlike the other ones, when I cut the chin piece off, I kept it and I glued that to my chin. So my mouth's still there, but I got a silver chin and a silver face. And then I'd put some really cheesy video effects over the top. And that's like going, woo, it's the future. Because in the future, everything is colored lights. And so it was this joke of having this really cheesy effects to say I was a robot from the future who was passing judgment on things that were happening in this time. That's probably the one I've felt most like bringing back, because he can comment on things. The 4 main ones I had, this is the first time I decided to get some other masks. It was Halloween, and I just got a few masks. And this is the weird thing, being a theatre person, when I get a mask, I see a character in it, and I know how they talk, and I know what sort of character they are. Some of them changed a bit over time, but basically they take on a life for me. And so the 4 one, there was a vampire one, a witch, this red demon one, and an orangey yellow demon one. Oh yeah, I had one with a really long big nose, Stella. That was kind of looked like a plague doctor almost. I used that a couple times. But those first 4 names, the vampire, which was like bleach white and with really red lips, And when I cut the thing out and the teeth were gone, I just thought it looked really camp. So it became Mr. Flamboyant and was very flamboyant. The witch, when I cut the thing off, it looked really dopey. And so it became Mr. Boy talks really slowly. And this is not very interesting. So that was Mr. Boring. And the red demon was just Mr. Red. And he's a demon, and he thinks he's really dark and mysterious and dangerous, but is really fairly pathetic. And the yellowy orange demon mask had these wild bug eyes, and I just called that Mr. Insane. And he was, as the name suggested, rather wild and insane. Did things like drink formaldehyde on a dare and whatnot. But like they had, and my joke was that like they lived in my head, and they were like shared house. I even called them the four housemates of the apocalypse, and they all had this inner life. And like Mr. Red, who thinks he's really dark and mysterious and is actually pretty pathetic, was actually having a relationship with Mr. Flamboyant, but and he would never admit to it. But from Mr. Flamboyant, from his point of view, it was just a sympathy fuck because Mr. Red was so pathetic. I had that extent of their interactions in my head. So yeah. Oh yes, Dr. Obama, the old finger puppets. There was a wombat or something? One of them in its butt had this really pink thing you were supposed to stick your finger in. Was like sus as hell. Oh yeah, Aussie Gun Money, the comic strips. I still have the software to do the comic strips. I agree with you. I should do some more comic strips. I should just take the time to sit down and write some stuff, because despite the fact that I do make quite a few videos, I do feel really lazy because I feel like I don't put nearly enough effort into the scripting and the shooting and editing. Like I could come up with ideas, write down some notes, and 9 times out of 10 do a single take straight to camera. And I usually end up forgetting some things I was going to say, whatnot. Occasionally I put a bit more effort in, but yeah, it's it's just time-wise. Like there's someone's mentioning ContraPoints, who makes great videos, really high production videos, but only makes, you know, a handful, maybe 6 a year, because the so fucking hard to make movies of that, videos of that quality. Ah, Loogie, a teaser for Wangafat. Yes, I already know what I'm going to do. It's going to be about milkshaking the fash, because there are all these people saying this dumb shit. In case you've missed it, there's this hilarious thing with these various fuckwits in the UK, Tommy Robinson, sad fuck of arse-hats, and Nigel Farage, all having milkshakes thrown at them in public places. And it's fucking brilliant because it's non-violent and it humiliates them and they hate it. And it's not like violence. It's not like someone going up and punching them. It just makes them look stupid and undermines them, and they're not coping with it at all. Like you were talking about this last week. Like you can now upset them by just standing there with a milkshake. You don't have to throw it. Just hold a milkshake and they'll freak out. So the Wangafat is me not giving a fuck about the people who are all clutching their pearls about this is bad. This is bad. Because it's not bad. It's good. Yes, Tendai, the revolution will be pasteurized. Aussie Gun Money, I was going to do a big rant about the fucking Game of Thrones things, because we talked about Game of Thrones at the start. I ended up being really pissed off with particularly the second last episode, because it was dumb as shit. But yeah, then the petitions, and I go, no, I've gone back to thinking people complaining about it are dickheads now. For the first couple of episodes, which I was quite okay with, I thought people who were complaining were being annoying shits. And then the second last one, I'm like, nope, okay, now I fucking hated that. I'm on board with everyone who hates it. Then within another couple of days, no, you all acted like dickheads, these stupid fucking petitions. No, fuck you. I'm back to thinking people complaining about it are dickheads. Dr. Obama, do I think Corbyn will end up like Shorten? No, because I think he's very, very different. I have no idea if Corbyn can win or even do particularly well in a general election in England. Because I will be frank, I do not trust the media reporting about Jeremy Corbyn. I do not trust it at all, because it's contradictory, if nothing else. But I will be intrigued to see what voters say. Does Corbyn scare voters or does he inspire voters? Will the Tories increase their majority? Will the Tories copper pasting? Will the Lib Dems make a comeback? Will Labor maybe do a coalition with the Lib Dems? Who knows? But see, Tendo, that's another thing. Corbyn not committing to opposing Brexit, because basically Corbyn is in favour of he doesn't like the European Union, but for left-wing unionist type reasons, as opposed to the right-wing racist reasons that were mainly trumpeted in the vote. This is the thing. There are a lot, no matter what your political views are, whether they're fiscally conservative or left-wing, whether it's socially conservative or progressive, no matter what your views are, you can make a compelling case for leaving the EU without resorting to this ridiculous racism and lies that the talking heads who were the face of the Brexit campaign did. But yes, I think it's reasonably clear that Corbyn doesn't want to oppose Brexit, possibly for a number of reasons. But I see some articles in the media saying him not rejecting Brexit is going to hurt. And then I see the articles saying, oh, Labor can't oppose Brexit because that will hurt them. So I think the fucking media reporting on him is shit and completely untrustworthy. Oh, yeah. Sorry, we're talking about Huawei, the Chinese phone manufacturer that apparently makes pretty good phones, but it's got to the stage where nobody trusts them, and they think that the Chinese government's got spyware on all the phones, which honestly is completely plausible. I worked for lots of people over the year, including banks, including a bank that wanted to expand into Asia. And so I had to review all the security protocols of all these Asian countries they want to move. And that was Singapore, South Vietnam, South Korea, Hong Kong, not a country, but they had their own way of operating, Japan, China. Might have even been Taipei, which again, China thinks they own. Taipei disagrees, Taiwan. But I will tell you for a fact, the security guidelines you have to agree to operate within China explicitly say there has to be a backdoor for the government. You cannot, if you want to work in the financial sector in China, the government has to be able to see every transaction that happens. You cannot have secret transactions and operate in China. So when people say, oh, Huawei's putting in spy stuff for the Chinese, from my experience of working with regulations in China, that's completely plausible. Now, the US, the Trump administration and the things they're saying, I mean, honestly, they're a bad faith actor, which throws questions into the whole thing. But yeah, I will tell personally from first-hand experience, you want to operate in China, the Chinese government will not let you operate in China unless you give them a backdoor into everything that's happening. So this concern about the Chinese government forcing Huawei to put spyware on all the devices, it's not proven, but it's perfectly plausible. Aussie Gun Bunny, that is a good point. You work in telcos. You'd be surprised if all the phone companies don't have government mandated backdoors and spyware in them. Absolutely. This fucking thing is listening to me all the time. Isn't that good? I really like, that's a bit of street art that I've had as my wallpaper for a long time. I really like that picture. Yeah, no, this fucking thing is listening to me all the time. It's really funny, people who think, oh, the government can't spy on me. I use proxies. I've got firewalls. I've got anonymizers. Like, I've said this so many times, motherfucker, you are free of government surveillance to the degree that the government wants to allow you to be free of it. The instant the government decides they want you to be surveilled, it's all fucking over. That's not even paranoid. That is, we know beyond any doubt, we know for a fact the mass spying that happens here. Now, yes, the sheer overwhelming volume of data mean that you and me, being nobodies, as a general rule, are not going to be spied on a daily basis. But we have precisely as much privacy as the government decides we should have. The instant they decide they surveil you, they're surveilling you. It's just like, backdoor puns definitely possible. Sorry, backdoor puns definitely intended, Aussie Gun Money. Always mentioning backdoors, always innuendo. I will, it is the most appropriate term about being backdoored. I love the way you put it, balls deep in backdooring. Yeah, no. And that's a good point. We now know what the Stasi, the East German secret police, were monitoring everyone all the time and punishing people. But I mean, in this modern world, and it is only getting worse, but in this modern world, you are free of surveillance only if the government has no desire to surveil you. Oh yeah, Safa 80 is definitely a backdoor man. Loves the backdooring. And the thing that I've talked about before, the mirror world. Yeah, that was a good article. If you want to read it, it was on Wired a month or so ago. Very long. Well, not very long. It's not like a novel, but it's quite a long article on the mirror world. One-for-one digital map of the world. We are fucking... You think we've got total surveillance now. We are absolutely careering to utterly, totally surveillance, non-stop. And we'll get economic benefit. People will do it because they'll get economic benefits out of it. Loogie, you loaned someone $40 when you decided to collect. You take offense this marking the second time off. Oh dear, where's this going, Loogie? I'm really concerned. Stella, they will get better at the Australian accent. They understand American accents far better. Hell, imagine them trying to get a Scottish accent. But they'll get it. They'll absolutely get it. But I mean, we're looking at a future. Like one of the more fascinating bits in this Mirror World article was things like one-to-one mapping your own home. So like when you're planning things, you have augmented reality stuff, like whether it's just in your phone or like the equivalent of Google Glass or whatever, and you go, I wonder what a lounge would look like there, and the augmented reality will project exactly what a whole bunch of different lounges would look like there. And it's going to alert local retailers, oh, Angry's thinking about a new lounge. And then I'm going to be bombarded with all these offers for lounges. And they will see the layout of my lounge room and they will say, hey, boom, boom, what about this one? That would look perfect there. And oh, look, this desk and this fucking rug and everything would make it perfect. Like, oh my God, you had to pull a blade on the guy who wouldn't give you the money back. Jesus. Oh man, money is shit, isn't it? Yeah, see, Music Creator, we get that on Facebook now, but can you imagine you're doing your augmented reality thing and going, I know what a lounge would look like there. And that just goes beaming out to all the suppliers of the thing you're looking for, just going, oh, looking at, and they just start doing push notifications to you and go, how about this lounge? How about this one? How about this one? Yeah, Music Creator, you're right that oh God, all Facebook pushes to me is booze, and I've only got myself to blame for that. I know people like a lot of people have very justified concerns about the YouTube algorithm and how for years it's pushed very radicalizing content to people. Like you start watching Minecraft and 3 clicks later, there's some fucking white nationalist telling you why Hitler is the victim in all this. They're getting a bit better with dealing with that now. But the funny thing for me, like everyone's always complaining about, oh my God, the YouTube algorithm sends all this really shitty content. YouTube algorithm sends me stuff I've already watched. Like I watch a lot of music videos. And so when I'm going and it's got things that's pushing to me, it's basically pushing the music videos I've already watched. It's going, well, you know I've watched that, so why are you fucking pushing it at me again? Everyone else is complaining about YouTube pushing them really fucking dodgy content. I'm just going, YouTube's just pushing me content I've already watched. Why is it doing that? Mimsy almost out of camera, just wanting scratchies down here. So you're annoyed. Alexa understood Vala Margolis, but dropped it shit when you asked about Geelong. Oh dear. Yeah, but I mean, you know, the new future is whether it's your phone or your home assistant or whatever fucking surveillance device you have around you, hears you saying, "Oh, we're out of milk. Oh, you know, oh, we need some chicken. We need some ice cream," and then you're leaving the house, and you say something like, "I'm going to the shops." Your phone will have recorded all these things that you've said in the last day or so that you are out of. And the phone will actually prompt, don't forget you need milk. And particularly if you've been talking about meals, it'll push a recipe to you and go, how does this sound for dinner? And then it'll guide you around the supermarket to get all the ingredients for it. So there's pluses and minuses, but the literal total surveillance of it is thinking, still I like that. Targeted marketing is trying to sell you breast augmentation when you have 10 cups. It's getting more accurate, but it also still does super weird. Like I said, the one thing it pushes to me non-stop is fucking alcohol, because I always put stuff about cocktails, and because I click when they do a thing that says, hey, look at this cocktail recipe, I click on it. I want to see new cocktail recipes. I want to come up with new cocktails. So making Facebook, because the one thing I don't do on Facebook, you know how you can tag and say, I'm watching this movie, this TV show, I'm listening to this music. I almost never do that. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not giving you a profile on me. Fuck you. But the one thing I couldn't resist was looking up cocktail recipes. So yes, Facebook pushes booze at me non-stop. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that, quite honestly. So yeah. Yes, ad block's a thing. I kind of like, remember that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report, that had a lot of flaws in it, but it had some very interesting stuff that was very, very realistic extrapolations of how surveillance and marketing could go in the future. Like they went to all the trouble of doing retina scans, but we now know it's probably not going to be retina scans. It's going to be facial recognition. There's already really widespread deployment of facial recognition, probably far more widespread than you're aware of or would be comfortable with. But it was like in the US recently, some people found, without knowing, is definitely nothing they opted into. They were getting on a flight in the US, and you know, you have your boarding pass and whatnot. They didn't even pull the boarding pass out. They went up to the gate, and the thing went, "You can go through." And they go, "I don't go through." Oh, the thing's you can go, because there was this camera and there's facial recognition that was calling up the fucking Homeland Security database that your photos of you were in, and it was scanning you and going, "Oh yeah, that's AngryAussie who's on this flight. You can let him in." And people hadn't opted into that. People hadn't said, "Yeah, sure, you can do facial recognition on me." They just did it, and it's like that shit is going to be everywhere. Traffic surveillance cameras, security cameras, ATMs, fucking everything. Stella, you got to go out. I'm going to go to bed in 5 minutes. Oh, God, yeah, Aussie Gun Bunny, the thought crime aspect, and that was the fantastical thing. The psychics. But if you leave the psychic part of Minority Report out, we won't get done for thought crime by psychics. We will get done because of social media posts. John Howard, since the 90s, the Liberal Party, the supposed party of small government and freedom of the individual, they've been pushing for thought crime to be a thing since the 90s. It's like, if you say something the government doesn't like, they can prosecute. And you don't have to be inciting violence. You don't have to be committing crime. It's just basically like sedition laws. Basically, if you say, well, the government is shit, democracy has failed us, revolution is the only answer, they wanted to be able to say that was a crime and they could prosecute you. And trust us, we'll only do it to people who really deserve it. Like, you can trust those fuckers. So if it has happened with ASIO as well, if they wanted to, it will. I'm not aware of, I do actually know in metropolitan areas, police forces have had facial recognition technology done on camera. It was like in the UK is one of the most surveilled countries in the world. It has been for ages. But it's like when they had these security cameras in residential areas, and there was a little speaker on it, and it was designed to stop violence and whatnot. But they were fucking hassling people for littering. It's like, you know, there'd be a security camera there and someone watching it, and someone chucks a can on the ground. And the government goes, "Oh, littering's punishable by a £20 fine. Pick that up and put it in a bin." It's like, get fucked. It's like, whenever you give governments or law enforcement powers and abilities, they will use them, exploit them, and extend them. It literally always happens. They never pull back on these powers. They never pull back on their surveillance powers. They never pull back on their enforcement and punishment powers. They only ever extend them. Nothing short of revolution and overthrow. Like, the only thing that stopped the Stasi in East Germany was the overthrow of the entire communist state there. Like, for fuck's sake. Tinder, well, people smash the cameras all the time, but that's an offence and they'll prosecute you for it. And you can't smash the camera without either that camera seeing you do it or another camera seeing you do it. It's just ridiculous. Like, and they use it to perv on people. It's like, oh, we're there to protect you. And it's just like, no, we're there to take away any shred of fucking privacy you have. And you really think, oh, if you're not a criminal, you've got nothing to hide. It's going, actually, if I'm not a criminal, I deserve to not be fucking surveilled, actually, because there's never been an instance where this level of surveillance and enforcement is not abused. Whether it's just for things like they use it to fucking perv on people, or just to fucking harass people over nothing. It's, oh my God, it's such bullshit. And it's always the people who say, I'm for small government. I'm for the liberty of the individual. It's like, no, you're fucking not. You're a power mad creep like the rest of it. Jim, what about signs preceding speed cameras? What signs do you mean there? We have, not always, but we often have in Australia signs saying there are speed cameras in the thing. See, Jim, that's it. If you're attacked, wouldn't you want that film? That isn't what they're used for. They're not effectively used to, they don't stop those crimes. They simply don't. What they do is use them to fucking harass people. They use it for trivial, it always goes from, we're going to use this to fight violent crime, to, we're going to use this to harass people for trivial shit. And that's not conspiratorial talk. That's not outrageous talk. That is a simple observation of exactly what's happening. Now, Jim, that I'll tell you now, that is a straight up fucking lie that they tell. They say they use them to convict. They're not. They're actually really ineffective in getting convictions on people. They're one of the least useful tools in the police arsenal. They are used to fucking harass. Yeah, see, okay, Jim, 24 hours in police custody. Those TV shows, whether it's the completely fictional ones or the reality TV shows, those are actually propaganda vehicles that completely fucking lie about how effectively the police use it. They don't prevent crime at all, and they're borderline fucking useless for prosecuting someone after the fact. Normal police work is at least as effective at gaining prosecutions as these fucking cameras are. Those shows, 24 hours in police custody and the fictional shows, I love cop shows as much as anyone, okay? But they're fucking propaganda vehicles. And it's absolute horseshit. Jim, you can get me to go off pretty easy, mate. This is, I do love to go off. But it's also 10 o'clock. And I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock and go to work. So I got to go and get some sleep. So I will, as usual, thank you, wonderful people, for spending time with me. It's always fun. 2 hours goes by so fast. As occasionally I felt like maybe doing this shorter, maybe only doing 1 hour live streams, but I have so much fun. 2 hours goes really fast. So look after yourself, one and all. It has, as always, been great spending time with you. I do hope I get to see you again sometime soon. I might, actually, the plan is I will be doing a live stream on Kevin Logan's channel later in the week, maybe doing a recap of the Australian election and talking about how it happened, why it happened. I don't fucking know is the short answer, and the potential implications of it. So yes, I'll probably be on Kev Logan's channel later in the week. So I'll post things on the social media one. I'll probably even post a little video on my own channel temporarily saying, hey, I'm over on Kev Logan's channel, go and look. So that may or may not be on Thursday, 2 days from now. So look after yourself, one and all. I hope to see you again soon. My mouse is seriously misbehaving, and I don't know why. All right, I'm going to say good night. Bye for now. Bye.